We were just talking about Briante's big dunk against Butler, which I think is everybody's screensaver now.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure it's Breeze. He's a great kid, and different guys play for different reasons. But he's a guy that he gets so much excitement out of the game and the crowd and the energy in the building, and obviously it's reciprocal. So we're happy we have him on our team.
There's just little things. Like one of my favorite things is on a game day, you guys come out and you kind of shoot around a little bit, and then you go back to the locker room, and Bree always sprints back, usually racing Daniel Roos, to see who can get back there first. But it's those little things you see that he's just...
That's enthusiasm, though. And we have 5 core values in our program, Greg, and that's our second one is enthusiasm. And, if you got 14 guys on your team that are just kind of moping around and their heads down and they look like Snuffleupagus, you can't play the way we play. I mean, you got to be into it. You got to be bouncing around, and it really is valuable to have a guy like Bree just to bring enthusiasm every day to everything he does, and not just from a playing standpoint, but just from a life standpoint. He's the most energetic person I've ever met.
Did you watch Sesame Street this morning? Is that why you threw in a...
I did not. I haven't watched Sesame Street in a long...
Why did you know with Zora? I mean, with Zora.
Well, she doesn't watch a lot of TV yet, Greg. We're trying to go another direction, but I'm sure we will at some point. But yeah, that was my background as a kid with Sesame Street, and I just remember some of the characters had more energy than others.
Well, enthusiasm's a good segue because we need a lot of enthusiasm for folks to vote for Coach Smart in the Infinity Coaches Charity Challenge. Go to ESPN.com/Infinity. I think everybody knows by now you made the Final Four, which is a huge accomplishment. And right now you're in second place behind Ohio State's Thad Matta. And
we're in second place, but they have a voting machine over there. I think
something's up.
You know what? I think they may have rigged some type of algorithm where they get a certain number of votes every day. But there's a few more days left in the Coaches Challenge, and we just want everyone to vote as much as possible. And, as we said when we started this whole Infinity Coaches Challenge, we'd love to win, and we'd love to win $100,000 for Friends Association, which is a phenomenal cause. But in addition, we want to raise awareness for Friends and for the terrific work that they do there. And I think we've done that in part, but we don't want to stop here. We want to keep raising awareness. We want to keep helping Friends raise money so that they can do the terrific things that they do for Richmond's kids.
You can vote once a day, ESPN.com/Infinity. Please vote. Tell your friends. Send the link wherever you can, because maybe the Ohio State voting machine will break and we'll surge past them.
Hey, you never know. It's not over till it's over.
No question. Great stuff. And since we're talking about voting and contests, VCU's already 1 for 1. They announced it last night at the game that the Rowdy Rams won the Naismith Student Section of the Year.
Yeah, what a phenomenal award that is, and what a great honor. Look at Zora over there. She likes it.
She's part of the Rowdy Rams.
No, I mean, our fans are terrific, and, our student section in particular that won this award, I think Robbie makes a good point. Our student section won this award versus some of the top student sections in the country. And you're talking about places that for decades and decades have just been off the charts in terms of the support of their teams, and we were named the best. And let's make sure we put our band right there with it. With,
no question.
Ryan and his crew. I mean, they do an unbelievable job. And they're a huge part of that student section. But it just for us players and coaches, it's just another reminder of how fortunate we are to get a chance to play in the Siegel Center and coach in the Siegel Center with such a tremendous following.
No question about it. Obviously, last night was the last home game at the Siegel Center. You move on to Philadelphia on Sunday, a nationally televised game. Again, a reminder, this is on the main CBS channel, not CBS Sports Network, but CBS Network, high noon Sunday at Philadelphia against Temple, who's now the hottest team in the league.
They're playing great. And, you mentioned noon. It is daylight savings time on Sunday, so you got to actually get up a little bit earlier because it'll feel like 11. I told the guys, I said, you need to understand, we're going to start getting up a little bit earlier. We've been on spring break this week, And so it's an early game, but, we fared well in early games so far this year. Temple's got a terrific team. As you mentioned, they're playing as well or better than anyone in the league. They've rattled off a bunch of wins. They have probably my favorite coach in the league in Fran Dunphy. He's a veteran of coaching that has been through all the wars and never gets rattled. I love watching him on the sidelines because, he's so even-keeled and, stays focused on what matters, which is coaching his team, and just has a terrific group of guys. It's their senior day. So we had our senior night last night. Now we have to go up to Temple on their senior day. They have 5 seniors. They'll probably start them all. They're also having a whiteout, and they're honoring the 1987 Temple basketball team coached by John Chaney that was #1 in the country. You remember Mark Macon, one of the best players of college basketball history. So they've got a lot going on up there. As Robbie mentioned, they have a lot to play for. We have a lot to play for, so it should be a very exciting game.
Of course, VCU is tied for first in the Atlantic 10 standings because St. Louis lost last night at Xavier, which, I'd asked Coach Smart, was he surprised? And you said, of course.
I'm not surprised. St. Louis has got a terrific team, but Xavier is a very tough team to beat. Remember, Xavier is, it's been a few games. I think since our game, they're about 54-2 in their last 56 A-10 home games. So, there's a reason when you have a record like that. It's like a 97% winning percentage, and, you don't just go in there and beat them easily.
No question. Back to Temple, talk a little bit about what Fran Dunphy does that makes this program so difficult, especially at their place.
Well, he gets those guys playing with so much grit and determination. They really take care of the ball. That'll be an interesting factor to follow for the game because obviously we try to get people to turn it over. Temple's #1 in the league in assist-to-turnover ratio, and they're among the best in the country in that area. In addition to that, they have probably the best player in the league, Khalif Wyatt. He would get my vote for Player of the Year. He's a senior guard. He can score in so many different ways. He's very crafty. He gets to the foul line. He's terrific using ball screens. And he does a great job not only putting the ball in the basket but getting all their guys involved.
Right, but as everybody knows, defense travels well, and obviously they have yet to see havoc.
Well, that's true. And so, we'll see what we can do. I'll tell you what, we're excited. I mean, this is the type of game you want to be playing late in the year. A lot of teams around the country have games slated for this weekend, but most of those games aren't on national TV. Most of those games are not for a league championship, and most of those games are not for all the things that Sunday's game is for.
And in addition to a regular season championship, obviously the next step is the A-10 tournament in Brooklyn, which would start a week from tonight. And obviously seeding very important because, as we know, the league is just so deep, so competitive.
Well, it is, and there's so many teams that are still battling to even get in the tournament. And, we're obviously fortunate in that we've clinched a bye and at least, I think as of now, at least a top 3 seed. But we're not satisfied with that. We want to win on Sunday, put ourselves in position to, depending on what happens in the LaSalle-St. Louis game, be a top seed potentially. But all we can do is control our own destiny and control our own approach, and that's what I talked to the guys about today. There's some things that we want to improve on from our last time out against Richmond, and that'll be the goal on Sunday.
We've talked about how your team has done so well in the classroom, but did spring break kind of come at a good time?
Depends who you ask, because it always comes at a good time for our guys.
They're around you guys more often, though, right? Around the.
Well, it gives us a little bit more time to focus on watching tape. The guys come in the office and watch tape, and we always do extra shooting at night either way. But now we can do some extra shooting during the day. But you know what? They're still doing tutoring with Sophia during this week, even though they probably didn't want to. We make them do it because we want to make sure that they're ready to thrive academically over the course of the rest of the semester. And if things fall right, we'll be in a position where we're on the road here during the week in some of the coming weeks. So we want that to happen because that means we're playing in big games. But if that happens, that means we really got to be ahead academically because we may miss a little bit of class.
You mentioned on Sunday you're going to see Khalif Wyatt from Temple, and maybe he would get your vote for Player of the Year. I think a lot of people would say VCU's got some some competition for that. But who would maybe be on your all-conference team looking ahead going into the last weekend of the regular season?
Well, excluding our guys, because I'm not allowed to vote for our guys.
You're not allowed to vote for your own players.
I hadn't thought about it yet, Greg, but just off the top of my head, I would say Khalif Wyatt, number 1. I would vote him Player of the Year. I would put Rodney Clark on there. From St. Louis, it's so hard because they have so many terrific players. I would probably give it to Dwayne Evans. He's just been phenomenal. But they've got other guys that are certainly playing at that level. That's 3 guys. Certainly Chaz Williams is a guy that deserves to be up there. Samaje Christian, he's just a freshman, but he's been phenomenal from Xavier. So there's 5 right there. But you know what? I could easily rattle off another 5 or 10 that are almost as worthy.
And there's got to be 2 or 3 from VCU that other folks are thinking
of. Yesterday we had to turn in our nominations for different awards, and it was tough because you can only nominate 1 guy for each award. So like for Defensive Player of the Year, for Conference Player of the Year, and choosing between for Conference Player of the Year, and I think they would probably cancel each other out anyway, but between Javante and Trey, they're both equally valuable to our team. Statistically, they're both pretty similar in terms of one's a little bit more scoring, one's a little bit more rebounding, but they're both high in both categories. So that was a tough decision. But at the end of the day, everyone else votes for our guys and we don't. So we'll see what happens.
But the program has received so much national attention. I think Sunday is going to be the 19th nationally televised game this season. We had a ton of national media. Dana O'Neill, Jeff Goodman, Jeff Brazil, all these folks that were in the arena. And it seems like in the last week, Havoc it's been trending nationally.
Well, it's great for our fans and our program and our players to get this type of exposure. And, to be honest with you, the move to the Atlantic 10 has a ton to do with it because those people would not have all been at the game against Butler if it wasn't 2 nationally ranked teams playing against each other, two high-ranked teams playing against each other, 2 teams that played in the Final Four. And we just wouldn't have had that opportunity in our former league. So, that we're appreciative of that. The people that did come to the game, Jeff Goodman, Dana O'Neill, some of the others you mentioned, they were extremely shocked at what we have in terms of our atmosphere. We told them they'd seen it on TV, but you don't know for sure until you experience it.
Great stuff. We're going to wind down things here during the Shaka Smart radio show presented by Virginia Lottery. How many folks are going to Philadelphia? Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of black and gold in that whiteout.
I'm going, Greg.
You are going, along with a few other guys. And how many people are going to Brooklyn? I think there's going to be a lot of black and gold in the Barclays Center.
Well, we're excited, and our guys are really looking forward to it. This trip to Temple will be a great experience for us. All year long we've talked about what you have to do to win on the road, and Sunday will be no different. But I think because of, again, the position that our guys have put our team in, it's all good going into Sunday. It's not something where there's a ton of pressure and our guys need to be playing on eggshells. We need to go out and play, have fun, go after it, and see what happens.